selection of rock CDs. We got My Chemical Romance. We have 21st Century Liability. We have Weird. We have Idols. Ghost of LA. And the self-titled album.
So basically another hyperfixation.
Okay, well, way to call me out.
I mean,
you bought this for me, so.
I did, because sometimes mommy is guilty of feeding your hyperfixations, but it's all good, because I think we all have them to some extent, right? Welcome to episode 3 of Fix Your Face, the podcast. My name is Tracy Michelle Lewis Jiggets.
And I'm Michaela, that girl Jiggets, also known as K. Simone. Look out for my incoming music.
Oh, okay. Yes, look out for it. Okay, so we promised you guys that we would actually continue our last conversation on neurodivergence because there are so many things that we believe that families deal with, are challenged by, and I know you wanted to talk about a few things. So we're going to dive into that now. But before we do, this podcast, first of all, thank you all for just your support the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yes, lots of shouts out, lots of people saying this is needed, so we are grateful.
Your name in yellow hearts.
Yeah. So we're, and this has actually become a family affair for us because, you know, the first 2 episodes, camera work could have been better. So now we have Daddy, my hubby, on the 1s and 2s. So we want to shout out William Jiggets. We'll put him here in the picture. Yeah. But you want to say hello?
Hello.
We said the whole household.
Neurospicy household.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about the first thing that came up that I think you wanted to talk about at the end of the last episode was sensory seeking. And yeah, back up. So sensory seeking, and I'm still learning a lot about it, but some folks who are neurodivergent, and particularly with ADHD, often are looking for sensory input, right? So I remember when you were younger and you would, be overstimulated or... I wasn't even going to say that one. Yeah, like we had signs very early on that Michaela had some sensory challenges. I remember for a long time she would not touch grass. So I don't know if you've seen those videos of they put the baby down on the grass and the legs go up like they refused. That was her. She refused to touch grass.
I only like a certain kind of grass. It has to be the fluffy kind of grass because we have a couple patches of fluffy grass in our yard and I will put my bare feet on and they feel so good. But then we got the spiky grass.
Yeah.
No.
So that was, and I think she wasn't even like 2. I think she was just starting to walk. But we didn't think anything of it, of course, because there are other children that have that. But then I remember actually you being a newborn, and we would put you like the little car seat basket. We would put that car seat basket in the bigger basket at the grocery.
The shopping cart?
The shopping cart, right. And I would push it on the ground until we got into the store. Well, when I pushed that cart on the actual tar of the parking lot, she would scream. I mean, she would cry and cry. And as soon as we went through the doors and we got into that smooth flooring of the grocery, then she would just automatically stop. And then when we would leave out the door, and it was like the rattling, I think the noise, the rattling, the sensation, I think for her bouncing on that ground just did not work for baby girl.
Linoleum is smooth.
Right.
So it's like, that is like, it's like, I loved when it went, and it's like so smooth. But on the concrete, it even happened with my scooter when I was younger, because I had a scooter. I have a motor scooter now, but like my original scooter,
that you had to like push.
Yeah, that I had to push.
Yeah.
It was only 2 wheels. Took me a while to get used to that. And then I pushed it, and it would go, and I loved riding it, but I only liked riding it on the sidewalk, because on the concrete. But when we moved here, I still had that scooter. I still loved riding it, but I sort of stopped riding it, because if I was riding it on the concrete, it was like itching my brain.
And then like that's how she describes it. It's itching her brain, right? Like there are like certain sounds, and so there's like this. So those are the things
like
that
forks on plates,
like unnerve you or upset you. But then there's the other side of it where she seeks out certain sensations like biting. And like or just like, so we had to get you those
the chew
the
toys.
necklace, the chew toy necklaces. Chew toys are for dogs. We won't say chew toy.
But like it's like a necklace. It's like a rubber necklace.
Yes.
There was like sticks. There was a ring. There's like a shark tooth. There's like so many different things, but they're made out of like rubber, so I could chew on them. And trust me, the first time my mom got me one of those, I chewed through it. Yeah,
she chewed through it. Like, so there's kind of a sensation, and I remember we were working with a therapist, and what she was teaching us is I think it's called proprioceptive feedback. So when she would, she would become overstimulated, I would go and I would take her arm and I would just like put pressure on her arm, and it literally would relieve.
Why'd you stop?
It would relieve the pressure whenever she was having an anxious moment. And so I think that's something that oftentimes can get ignored, because if I'm honest, I feel like I had some of those same things. But again, because back in the day, Nanny didn't kind of know anything about this. She didn't have access to this kind of information.
But I'm sure she had the same struggles too.
Perhaps she even had the same issues. We'd have to bring her on the show and let her talk about it. But I honestly feel like, I have those same sensations. Like, my husband, he will often like give me that kind of pressure feedback on my arms, and it feels so good. And so I think like a lot of parents might not see this as maybe a sign. It may not be a sign of anything, but it might be a sign that there may be something else is going on. And so you might just tell your child to go sit down somewhere, or you might say, why is she always biting things? Or you might not put 2 and 2 together, and that is definitely an issue. And then there's, what else is there?
The dishes. My fingers get wrinkly. I don't like it.
So I'm still struggling with that as a mom.
Hey! So basically what happens is that I do the dishes, and then my fingers get really wrinkly, but it's so weird, because when my fingers get wrinkly, they rub together and they go, and and I can feel it, just thinking about it makes me feel so weird.
As a mama of a teenager, one of the things that I think that's often not talked about is like, you also know that your teenager is going through teen things, adolescence, where they want to rebel or they want their own autonomy and they don't want to do what you tell them to do. That is a natural developmental, place, right? It's a milestone. So part of my struggle often with you is, how do I know when this is a sincere issue that you might be having related to your ADHD, related to your neurodivergence, and when that's just that 14-year-old that don't want to do the dishes, and it's easy to like say, oh, I don't like my hands to get wet.
It is, because that's exactly when I get out the shower. When my fingers get to a certain wrinkly state, I'm like, oh no, I don't like it, and then I get out the shower. Even if I like the shower and I enjoy it, like as soon as my fingers get wrinkly.
But you still have to take a shower, right?
I do, but it takes a while. I wash myself and stuff like that before my fingers get wrinkly, and I'm like...
But you still have to take a shower.
I do still have to take a shower.
So that would mean what? You would still have to wash the dishes.
Yeah, but again, I get out the shower as soon as my fingers get wrinkly, which means I already washed.
Okay.
And I already did things. But once they get wrinkly, I'm done. But that's my shower.
So that's the thing. Like,
I do take showers.
So how do you line that up with you being in the pool for 8 hours a day?
I don't know.
Like, so the wrinkles that come from the pool doesn't bother you as much, or being at the beach and being at the ocean. We live, not too far from the beach, so,
I play in the sand too, because because there's a break.
There's no sand at the pool though.
There's no sand at the pool. I don't know about the pool, but I know the beach is that my fingers do get wrinkly at the beach. But it's like I also play in the sand, so like my fingers get wrinkly, and then I go to the sand and I look for shells, and then I play in the sand.
So there's an alternative sensation that you can
that I can
turn your attention to.
Yeah, I can take a break. The pool, I don't know.
I don't know either. And so
it's so weird, because even when I'm in the shower, I rub my fingers together and it's like, oh my god, ew, stop it. So it's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's
I know the sound of the shower. I remember I remember like, when we would go to a public restroom and you trying to
dry your
hands but not hear the sound. So she's like drying her hands like this because the sound of the air dryer.
I'm drying my hands like
or even holding your ears while you're flushing the toilet at home, right? You don't like the sound of flushing toilets. You don't like the sound of vacuums.
Do you have a camera in my bathroom or something? No, how did you know I did that?
I mean, because I'm your mom and I've been in there with you. Okay, so so that's the sensory piece, and I think that's one of the challenges that a lot of moms and dads and parents struggle with. Is like, especially when you get this age. It was easier when you were younger, because I guess I just viewed it as
she just being a kid.
No, I viewed it as this thing that you have, the ADHD, or that you've been diagnosed with. I could clearly see, okay, these are the patterns. But as you become a teenager, I know some of it is definitely ADHD, and some of it is those natural inclinations to butt up against what your parents want.
Sometimes I don't even know which one it is.
I mean, I can see that. I believe that. And so I think it's required from me, if I'm honest, more grace than I'm often willing to give. Trying to have more grace with you when and that's hard, because my attitude has always been, out there in the world, they're not going to grace you. Don't I say that all the time? If you want to go work for McDonald's or Burger King or wherever.
I'm not working in a restaurant.
But I'm just saying, wherever you end up work, you're not going to have the option.
Work at Stardust.
Okay, she wants to work at Stardust in New York City, right? Because they sing on top of the tables. Great. Yes. But even at Stardust, part of me is like, you're not going to be able to tell your boss, I can't do the dishes, or I need to stop doing the dishes right now because my hands are wrinkly.
The dishwashers don't get the same. The waiters do.
It doesn't matter. You might have to have a turn. They may trade turns where there might be a time when you have to go wash the dishes. And how are you cannot going to be able to say, oh, my hands are wrinkly now and I can't do it because my hands are wrinkly. Like, and I'm sure those individuals who struggle with neurodivergence in those spaces wrestle with that. Like, how do you tell your boss, right, that I can't, like, I literally can't function if I do this way? And I think, my thought is always, I don't want to be ableist. I want to prepare you. I don't want to be ableist. I want to prepare you for, the world that's coming, that you're going into. Like, you only have 3.5 years before.
Don't remind me.
You turn 18 and you're going to be.
But actually, when I turn 18, I have a whole plan for my future. A whole plan.
Well, let's save that for the dreams episode.
We are dream girls, boys will make. Wait, let's talk about the music triggers, Like when you say words,
yeah.
like if you say words, and then my musical theater and other sides, like I remember like, okay, so there's this line in this album right here. And I Love You Will You Marry Me, and it goes Adidas, sneakers, and cigarettes. I don't smoke, okay? I don't condone smoking, but
yeah,
still,
she does not.
but still, every time I put on my sneakers, I have Adidas sneakers. So that just putting on my sneakers, I go Adidas.
It's a trigger. It's a
Yeah,
trigger.
it's like,
I have that too.
yeah. And if my mom were to say bye, I go bye, 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 bye. You may hate me, but it ain't no lie, baby. Bye, 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 bye.
I have that too a little bit.
And we just did it, didn't we?
Yeah, song, bursting out into song is definitely a thing. Like our my husband, you know, he just sits and watches us because it will always be a song in this house. But I do want to say this. I want to put this out there because I just actually read this. Just because you break out into song doesn't mean you have ADHD.
Yes.
Just because,
Stop.
yeah, and we talked about this in the last episode, but I found some really great information that was talking about that today. I should actually pull it up, but there was someone online that was talking about this. Sometimes people take on ADHD as sort of a cultural aesthetic or like personality.
Everyone has ADHD.
Right, like there's it's like a personality aesthetic as opposed to it being a challenging but you know, part of a disorder that it can be challenging but also can be overcome.
This isn't funny, guys. I just want to put this out here.
She really despises
Let me
this.
just politely crash out for a second. This isn't funny, okay? Like, it's really hard.
But let me say this.
It's not funny.
But let me say this. I think the reason why it upsets
And
you...
also, I'm not blaming everything on my ADHD for the people who think that.
But
I'm not calling out anyone specific or anything.
You talking about me?
No, not you.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about someone at school.
Oh, okay. No, but listen, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna.
I didn't name them.
We're not gonna, you know, be vague and, you know, be petty. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
but
sorry.
what I will say is, I think why it upsets you is because I think you know the challenges that you face. Yes. And that's what this thing that I was reading online said. That was like, it's not a personality aesthetic. It's not like, oh, my ADHD is at work, or I'm a wee bit autistic. You know what I mean? Like all of those things. Because the ADHD or the autism or any of these, you know, neurodivergent disorders or challenges are determined by severity, are determined by some very clear criteria, right? And so, you know, yeah, we'll joke about busting out in the song and that kind of thing, but it really is about neurologically how your brain is processing information.
Like executive dysfunction.
The executive dysfunction. So the inability, we talked about this, to like get motivated to get started on something. Like for you, like, you can do a thing, but it takes you a while to get started on a thing. It
might take me an hour to get started.
And that is, we bump heads, right? And I think we bump heads not because I don't struggle with it, because as we've talked about, like, I believe I am undiagnosed. I think the biggest challenge in our household has been me. It's not hypocrisy. I don't want to say that, but it is a paradox. All right.
The Paradox, love that band.
So it is that I, in one side of my brain, think, why can't you just do it? Why can't you just mask? I struggle with the same thing, right? I struggle with getting started, but you know what? I gotta do it because I gotta meet this deadline, or I gotta pay this bill, or I gotta do that. So I just put on the mask. I figured out a way to just push through whatever blank brain block I have. Why can't you do it? But in the same breath, in the same body, in another part of my brain, I've actually raised her to be free enough to be fully herself and to not have to mask. So you know, part of me is like, why can't you just mask or push through? But I didn't raise her to have to mask and push through. And I think that for me is always the internal struggle. And so things like executive dysfunction, where I tell you to go do something, it takes you a long time to get started. I'm like, why can't you just?
But then when I'm in it, I'm locked in.
Right. So like, it's just, but
and if you try to take me out of it, I get mad.
That part.
So like,
now I do identify with that. I hate to be interrupted.
It takes. Yeah, I know. It takes me forever to get locked in on something, and I might get distracted a million times, but then I'm locked in, and once I'm locked in, if you disturb me, I am crashing out, bro.
Yeah, same. I'm
yeah,
crashing
I know,
out.
because I'm the one who's always...
Yeah, because if it's taking me a long time, I'm a writer, right?
Yeah.
So if it's taking me a long time to get in the zone, I'm working on a project, a book or whatever, and, I'm finally in the zone, and I'm, pushing out words, and I'm hearing the voices of my characters, or I'm working on transcripts or whatever I'm doing, right?
What? I'm acting out. I'm your background actor. This is how you type, right? This is how you write?
No.
No,
Please
you're
don't.
pushing out words.
No, the sound and the mic.
Oh, my bad.
No, but like, if I'm there and my husband knocks on the door and asks me a question, or this one, I want to like fight. I will lose my mind. So, but I think for me is like being of, long in the tooth of
Wigs
a
will get
certain age.
snatched off. I don't care, Mama. This is a family podcast.
Cut. And we're back. So we are back, and this what you guys are observing, we're letting you into our world. And the thing is, I love this girl like nobody's business. I will do whatever I take to try to figure out how I need to support her. It's not easy. I think any parent out there of a neurodivergent child, whatever the diagnosis happens to be, I think, part of the work isn't really even with them. Part of the work, I think, is what we have to do to reparent ourselves, to figure out, to unlearn some stuff, right? To unlearn. There's some things that we've learned for life that we have to unlearn to be the better parent for our children. And I think that's the process. And them being teenagers, challenges is that a lot. That's very challenging, but I also think it's necessary, and you just hope that you survive. You just survive it all. So I think that's great. We didn't get a chance to talk about time blindness, but there are so many things that I would encourage you guys. As a matter of fact, I think. Oh yeah, the segment. Okay. Let me finish this. I'm gonna put a list of resources in the description of our podcast for places that I just recommend that you go if you have more questions about certain things that we've mentioned but maybe not gone into detail. So yes, we need to move on to our segment. This segment is Make It Make Sense.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Oh, I forgot we have that camera. Hey, make it make sense. Okay. So I want to talk about something that's come up recently, right? So recently,
Do I know about this?
Do you know what the Voting Rights Act is?
I think you told me that in the car. Like,
right.
They saying that they can't, like, that we can't vote or something?
No, not that we can't vote. So
they're restricting our voting? Very
much so. So the Voting Rights Act in the 1960s was enacted to basically stop. Back in the day, in order to vote, especially in the South, folks there were poll taxes, there were payments that they had to do, there were tests that they were made to do. Like, do you know Section 3, Part B of the Constitution?
Do you know Section Part B of the Constitution?
But that's what they were requiring of Black folks in order to. You could register to vote, but in order to actually enact your vote, and part of that
it's all fun and games until one of the Black people actually know their stuff.
Yeah, but there were people who did, and they still would find ways to inhibit the vote. Another way that they did that is by gerrymandering, which is basically marking up areas that were predominantly Black and marking it up in such a way so that we did not have representation, right? So, if it's a predominantly Black area, most likely the representative for that area was going to be a Black person, right? Or a brown person, right? And so what they did is they would sort of mark out the territory where they'd split it, and maybe this half of it will be part of a predominantly white area, which now makes that vote maybe non-existent, right? And so recently, in the last couple of weeks, the Supreme Court has basically gutted the Voting Rights Act to make gerrymandering possible, to make our vote less possible, right? Or less impactful, I should say. And so I'm just curious as to what you think about this insistence of taking us back to basically Jim Crow. Seriously.
So, basically, what I want to know is what is the necessaryarism?
Fix it.
Why is this necessary?
There you go.
This is why can't you just let me like talk in random words? But
because your mom's a writer.
Anyway, what's the necessaryarism? Like, I don't get it. What did we do? First of all, you took us out of our country.
Continent.
Continent to work for you, and we don't even get paid or nothing. You treat us like crap. Then when we finally grow and stuff, you still treat us like crap. And all of a sudden,
then we fight for our freedom.
We fought for our freedom. We got our rights.
Liberate ourselves.
Yeah, we got our rights. Some of them. And we
and then we built communities, we built colleges, we built entities, and many of those entities were burned down, and many of those entities were
and we
flooded
were hanged.
We were lynched. Like, we had this small period of time of Reconstruction where things were booming and that we were building our communities.
Harlem Renaissance.
And then we had Jim Crow. It was like, oh, no, wait a minute. They're actually, making use of this freedom, right? So let's put Jim Crow.
But what I want
segregation,
to know,
whites only, blacks only, those kinds of things.
What I want to know, I just don't get it. What did we do? We didn't do nothing. We were minding our business. The Native Americans were minding their business.
So let me just say this.
None of us should be here right now.
So you know what people would say, right? People would say that, the argument that, well, it was Africans who sold other Africans into slavery. But that's, number one, not entirely true. And the parts of that are true is a much nuanced conversation, because chattel slavery that occurred here, where we were on auction blocks, where we were beat and whipped, is very differently than is very different from the kinds of slavery that existed in West Africa at that time.
They call football modern day slavery, except you get paid. But you still got to stand up, get weighed in your underwear, and everyone and all the other coaches have to look at you and say, hey, yeah, I want this player. It's basically modern day slavery. Except you get paid, so all of a sudden it's all right. But is it really all right?
Go Eagles.
Really Daddy popped his head up.
I said that intentionally because my husband is a huge Eagles fan, and so. But yes, there are examples, and to your point, Michaela, there are examples of how white supremacy and the remnants of enslavement, right, have shown up even currently in our in our systems, in the way that we move, right? And so yes, our sports leagues are very much that way. Sorry. The sports leagues are very much an example of that. But I guess I just want, you keep saying, I just don't get it. What did we do? And I think that is a core question. But I'm curious as to what do you think? You're Gen Z, right? Mm-hmm. So what does Gen Z need to do, you think? Yes, we fight. Yes, we march. Yes, we protest. Yes, we, push back through boycotts and that kind of thing. What else do you think Gen Z can do to fight this?
I think we should do more protests.
More protests?
More protests. I think we should, all of the Gen Zs, that means the Gen Zs from like 13 to 18. The young people, the teenagers, the 20-year-olds too, because we need to have adults there and not just young adults. But like, we need to have us, and then we need to have the young millennials. We need to have all the young people and we need to go and we need to protest and we need to hold up signs. This affects us too,
Right.
because we just little babies.
Do you think that the protest will be effective? Like, do you think it will change their actions?
Well, they'd want to. I don't know, because they looping in the military now, so it's like we can all get shot.
Right. So now we're facing with the military. I think revolution could be part of the conversation. But
Revolution?
Yes, I think that could be part of the conversation. But I think that
Insert Hamilton clip. I'm saying do it, please do it.
Well, I think that and I don't know what revolution looks like.
The world turned upside down.
I don't know what revolution looks like. But I do think that there has to be, I believe in protest. I believe in marching. I do think
online, use your online presence to post things that would matter.
Yeah, but I also think that an economic protest, a significant
What is
economic meaning money, where we spend our money, right? Building communities.
That's gonna be hard, but you gotta do it.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that we are so used to, right? And
That's where I got all these.
right, like there are things that we are used to that I think that's part of the conversation, right? It's like, can we let go of the convenience that access has brought us, right? I think when we talk about our ancestors and our elders, I always say that that whole thing about we're not our ancestors, we'll beat you down, that people have been saying on the internet is actually not true. Our ancestors were the strongest and they endured, they survived, but they also fought, right? And maybe that's not the stories that's part of your history books, but they should be. And we absolutely fought. I think what our ancestors and elders did not have was the resources that we have, the access to money that we have. So how do we take the access of money and utilize it for building our communities, shoring up our movements?
I think that the money, the companies, Target, Starbucks, Amazon, all these other companies have made their companies so big and put everything that we love, coffee, energy drinks, clothes, everything that we love inside of these areas. So we go and we spend their money, and they've taken control of us. Now we're addicted to doing these things.
Yeah.
They've taken control of us so that they can go and use the money to do bad things, and we can't really get out of it. So it's technically we're kind of looped into, and they're all with the government and looped into doing these bad things, and we're providing the convenience for them to do it, and it should stop.
Right. So I do think that we need to think about.
I do have an Amazon package about to arrive in a couple days.
I know you do. And I do think that we need to think about how we use our money, and how and where we place our support. Because I feel like, we talked about in the last episode, this being driven by greed. And I think that
we're greedy too sometimes.
Yeah, and I think we have to reckon with that. We have to reckon with how we have, the access that was given to us by our ancestors and our elders. They gave us access. They fought for our access, right? But we have turned that access into extreme capitalism in the sense that we're all about money and making money and grinding and wealth building not to our benefit, but to our detriment.
They're defunding a lot of things that we need.
Right.
So how about we use the money that we're using, that we're giving to them, to get the things that we want, and use that money to refund all the things that they're defunding. So give our money to the schools, give our money to unban books, give our money to all the places, to shelters, and to people, to food shelters and food pantries and stuff like that. So give the money that we're gonna use to buy all of our, still buy our groceries because we need to eat, still pay for our mortgage because we kind of have to do that, but use the money that we're using to buy all these other things that we don't really need, and fund everything that they're trying to defund. Because my school actually got a big defund, which is why our new building hasn't exactly been like it should have been done last year.
Right.
But it hasn't, because defunding. So like we should just give our money to.
Well, I think that there are.
That's my idea.
I know. I agree. I think that's great, and I think there are ways that we can do that within our communities that we should really. Mutual aid is another way. Like there's a way to do that, but there's more to say on this that we'll talk about at another time.
Oh,
this was a great episode.
it was. It was so productive.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 3 of Fix Your Face, the podcast. We will see you next time with episode 4. Take care of yourself. Be well, and if you can't be well, just be.
Yes. Oh, wait. Okay, clock it. Clock it.
All right.
Daddy, get your booty out that seat.
I'm looking at this.
No, I need you to look at both of them. This is the main camera.
Okay, well sit your behind down so I can get a view of this camera first.
I know you did not just say such
You
We
do
need
know
to
you don't
see-
have your wig on, right?
You should have recorded that.
It is recording.
Yes! The click.
No, 2 snaps.
My God, today.